following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
The plots are thickening on this episode of the Toonami Faithful podcast. I am your co-host Kuro, and with me I have...
your other host, Sketch.
And...
Steven, social media person.
And special guest...
returning ninja, LumRanmaYasha.
Thanks for being here, Lum.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pretty big news week, I would say.
Yes.
And,
It has been a big
Yeah.
news week.
It's been a big news day.
Yeah.
truthfully, we are recording this the day of the Adult Swim panel at Annecy earlier today. So, yeah, a lot came out of that.
And we have someone there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for us, but...
Not for us.
No, we should be so lucky. But V-Lord is out there reporting for his work, which is pretty cool. So he's got the dream job, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's not really getting paid for it, I don't think, but he's having a lot of fun, and he's getting, I'm sure, a lot of great coverage. Hopefully some cool interviews, too. I'm not sure, but I'm really
Maybe
enjoying
making some
hearing the news
connections.
out of there. Oh, yeah, Oh,
For sure.
those are definitely happening for sure.
Oh,
No,
nice,
V-Lord.
nice. Yeah, so Adult Swim announced quite a few interesting things. Chief of which, for us Toonami fans, would you believe not one, but 2 additional seasons for Ninja Kamui?
A lot of faith in the show. I mean, I guess it did really well that first season.
It's
So-
killing me
Did.
that Paul was right about this. It's killing me. He was like, season 2. I was like, where are they going to come up with a season 2?
I mean, Joseph Cho kind of slipped with this when the announcement of the game last year. Like, he
Oh, yeah. I
stated in an
remember
interview, or there's going to be season 2. And then they had the backtrend like, oh, no, that I was misquoted. And actually, there have been ideas when things actually been discussed about season 2. But, like, if we're at this point, they definitely had been in the talks and had been planning a season 2. So,
Yeah.
That's
Honestly,
happening.
they could go any direction. This doesn't necessarily have to follow one character's storyline or even the previous character's storyline. They could go any point in time with this ninja organization and
Well, about that.
yes, but the season apparently will follow Higon again as he uncovers
Well,
a
what-
new conspiracy of cataclysmic proportions.
I
This
mean,
was in the
if they did like us for the season 3 at least.
that'd be a cool direction for season 3, kind of like Primal season 3, which we also got news about. Just that'll be coming next year, and Gendy is very proud of it.
Next year.
Yeah, but
Aw. Did they even
Can't wait.
mention anything about Get Jiro at Annecy? I didn't.
Yeah, they
see
did.
that. Oh, they did. When's any update on when that's coming?
I think that's also going to be 2026.
Curiously absent, no mention of Rooster Fighter, but that's probably more of either a Comic-Con or even AX type thing.
Yeah, so
I know
there's going
Viz
to
has
be
a
a panel at AX, with I think George Wada is going to be there. It's going to be combined, like we're going to talk about Yaiba and we're going to talk about Rooster Fighter. So they may reveal more information about when Rooster Fighter is coming out at that panel.
Perhaps. Or it could be the nothing burger that the Sakura-con.
Oh, you
His
know what? I
panel was-
forgot that the mangaka of Rooster Fighter is going to be at like Anime NYC. So I would be
Aw.
surprised if we don't hear about it then. I think they're actually gonna premiere the first episode there. I don't know if that
Oh.
has been.
I don't think that's been said.
announced, but I would not be surprised if that
No, I wouldn't be
does
surprised
end up
either.
happening.
And that doesn't necessarily mean anything because, I mean, Lazarus' first episode premiered last year. So.
Yeah, it could still be a few months.
And Toonami's pretty well stocked for the rest of the year, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially if Bleach and Blue Exorcist both continue past their current seasons, which they could.
Yeah.
It's months. That's months and months of episodes.
Months and
Yeah.
months of episodes. But
Pretty
yeah,
much a
Ninja
whole year of
Kami's second season is subtitled Red Vendetta, and the key art shows Higan with a sword in the shadows. It's very cool looking. I don't want to read too much into it, but even though they mentioned Sola Entertainment will return to helm the series for Adult Swim, there's no mention of Sung-Woo Park's studio E&H production.
Yep. I noticed that.
Don't
as
know
well.
about that. I guess we'll see. Now, in our previous podcast coverage, we have talked with the voice actors Jeremy G and Joe Daniels, Joe Higan and Jason Cardenas, respectively, about where this second season could potentially go for their characters or the series in general. And we also talked about it a lot in our final podcast, talking about the season finale last year.
Mhm.
So we've certainly speculated the possibilities of a second season. There's threads. What's Zai got going on afterwards? He's lost everything. They could definitely do something with that. Though it seems like Higan's just become a Ronin, and that will lead to him, being the cool Ronin guy, getting involved in some other conspiracy, and sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's one of the few original series to have a second season. It's been a while since we've gotten one of those.
It's the only one if we don't count the
only-
Fooly Coolies.
Yeah.
I was thinking IGPX. Well, I was thinking IGPX.
Well, that was all kind of.
I think IGPX was like a one order that they split into two broadcast seasons.
Yeah. That's
fair.
Yeah.
So technically, then this is the only second season or second and third season we're getting for an original series, which is pretty amazing. That's
with Adult Swim with ordering second and third seasons. Actually, ordering 2 seasons at a time is like pretty common for them.
Yeah, it's pretty
they
common
just did it with
practice
Smiley Friends.
Across a lot of networks. It's like, oh, we'll order multiple seasons up front. So it's technically one order, but divided into 2 broadcastings. But
honestly, I've been burned so many times.
13 episodes.
Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I've been burned so many times from Amazon and Netflix canceling series. Whenever you get an announcement in advance that they're ordering X number, I'm just so relieved. I'm like, okay, good. I can commit this amount of my time and effort into watching this rather than being disappointed at the story being left unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
So,
speaking of unfinished stories,
yeah.
Still nothing about Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
And Gendy has a new show that's going to be coming from Adult Swim, so I kind of feel Unicorn maybe not going to have a future.
I feel like he has trouble with focus.
No kidding.
Like when he's moved on from a project, he's like, I want to work on this, and that's what I'm going to work on. Because that seems to be his pattern for the past couple decades.
I mean, if they don't pick it up for another season, he can't really do much more, and it might as well move on to the next project. I mean,
we don't actually know the back end of that or what the quote inside baseball is, about where Toonami lies in that at all. So I don't want to speculate, but I have noticed regardless that it is kind of his habit to sort of flip between projects.
He does work on multiple things at once. He's a busy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's got
and I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just an observation. I could probably apply that to my own life.
I'm just really excited that this is not just a joke from the panel last year. It's actually happening. 3 frog brothers gonna do a heist. I love it.
Frog Day afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, and we go from
looking forward to it.
Feast to famine here with news. I feel like we went months with nothing, and now all of a sudden everything, because we heard, and this isn't necessarily Toonami related, but it is tangentially, you know, the Samurai Troopers anime getting a sequel next year.
Yep.
Also known as Ronin Warriors.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Not on my bingo list or chart or whatever the word is.
I mean, if you're Bandai Namco Pictures, you might think, hey, you know, there's still some interest in this property. Why not? But still, out of all of the things that they have done over the decades, you have to wonder, why this? Why now?
Why this?
It's
and
the most
why
90s.
now?
Yeah. It's the most 90s classical style of anime too. So I think,
and technically it's from the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it actually is.
But the trailer looks interesting. It's a nice combination of old style and new style of animation. I have very low expectations for this ending up on Toonami because it's Crunchyroll looks like it's there. So
you got nice modernized designs, updates to like the classic armors from the original series. I never really watched the original series, just seen clips of it, but I do think like from the trailer it looks pretty cool. The director Yoichi Fujita I know best from directing comedy anime, but it seems like, you know, the action's pretty good. I mean, the action in Gintama was also good, but so I think that probably goes to reason. But yeah, I mean, it looks really interesting, and it certainly, I don't know who will pick it up, but you know, maybe this is something if it goes to the right distributor that could find its way on Toonami.
Yeah, and
not
Bandai Namco Pictures Sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
I in years prior I might have said, yeah, I think there's a good chance, but
yeah, but it could just be Crunchyroll or I don't know. Yeah, probably
could end up in Prime Video, like the latest Gundam, and also of all things, a Steven Universe spinoff about Lars.
Yeah, Lars of the Stars.
That's again, kind of coming out of nowhere.
It's cool, but also kind of sad. I mean, especially with the Warner Brothers Discovery split between like the cable networks and the studios, you kind of do feel well, now Cartoon Network is basically like a legacy brand and studio that it's just like, oh, the content is going to be on other places, but the main network is kind of being left to dry. And that's very disappointing that we have revivals of basically all the hit shows from Cartoon Network in the 2010s. We have new Adventure Time, new regular show, new Steven Universe, new Gumball. And I mean, even beyond that, we have like a new Foster's coming, but it's like very few of those shows are actually going to be airing on Cartoon Network. Pretty much none of them. I mean, maybe the Foster's one still, but like all the other ones are just going to be streaming on different streamers at that, not even associated with Max, but like Hulu, and Prime now. So
it seems to be like the highest bidder.
Yeah, I mean, so like Cartoon Network is like a brand is now kind of going the way of Hanna-Barbera. It's like
exactly,
you know, it's kind of an in name only kind of thing.
It was already the case that Warner Brothers Animation rarely stepped out of their existing IP. And now Cartoon Network Studios folding into Warner Brothers Animation, though still somewhat separate, they're just going to be a rehash the IP machine and not a house of ideas. They're not doing new shorts programs. That previous cartoons program just disappeared. Nothing's been seen of it.
At least Adult Swim still has the smalls. Adult Swim, you know, announced a lot of stuff coming that is actually pretty promising and hopeful. As Adult Swim won't be hurt too much, hopefully, by this split. But Cartoon Network, I mean, the signs were there beforehand, but now especially after this weekend. It's like after Annecy announcements, it's like, I don't think that their fortunes are gonna get any better. Like they'll definitely probably still air the new Teen Titans Go season. Maybe Foster's will still air there. Yanu's second season will air, but like there really is not a whole lot of original stuff coming to Cartoon Network, the network.
In the other sections of Warner Brothers Animation and Adult Swim, there were at least a few new things announced at Annecy, but on the Cartoon Network side, it was just the Steven Universe spinoff. Everything else was already cooking.
Yeah.
It's not a good sign.
No.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough. It will be interesting to see how things go with that studio split, because it's a very real possibility that one side of the company will own all the shows, all the IPs, and the other will own the channels and not have access to them.
That basically does seem to be what the implication was. It's like, all the IP will go onto the studio streaming side, and then the cable networks will be the cable networks. And then the idea to even split it like this is to like make it like easier for acquisition down the line. For like someone can just go for the cable networks, or someone can just go for the studio streamers, and that'll complicate the relationship between these two different entities now even further if that happens, if they get different owners down the line.
They're also not surprisingly at all lumping all of the debt on the side of the cable channel's linear side, and well, that's a good way to kill it.
Yeah, I mean, the cable networks, obviously, over the past 10 years, cable has been in such serious decline that, like, there is not growth in the cable networks, but still, the cable networks pull in a lot of revenue, more positive cash flow than, like, the studio streamer side. Which is why I think they have the 20% ownership. The cable side of the studio streamer side is that they can use the positive cash flow that is actually coming in from the cable networks to continue paying down this debt that is on both sides, and then on just the debt that is like kind of being lumped into the cable side. But like, yeah, there really is just not much. It does feel like we're gonna dump these assets that are not declining, even though they are like profitable still. But like, with how these businesses run, they're growth oriented, so they want to position themselves. Here is how we're going to continue to grow and grow, and there is no more growth for cable. So that's kind of a big motivation behind the split, even though cable does still make money. Makes more money than the streamer, especially Max, for a long time. Although I think now Max is starting to make a profit.
Yeah. It sounds really bad, but when you think about it, Adult Swim is so heavily reliant on third-party content as it is. So as long as they can work out something so they keep Rick and Morty, they keep Smiling Friends, they keep being able to air these newer shows, they're fine. They will keep on trucking. It's the Cartoon Network side that I'm really worried about.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know how, I feel like one negative might be that if they do have to now pay some like licensing fee to like air their shows on the network, I guess like we might see less reruns of the older Adult Swim titles, but I can't imagine that they'll just stop rerunning Rick and Morty and Aqua Teen and Smiling Friends. So I think like the bigger shows are gonna be safe on the network. Is probably we'll just see less reruns of like the older stuff, which already don't run that much to begin with. And most of Adult Swim's lineup, their bread and butter is Fox sitcom reruns. So those I mean, if they got Family Guy back, so Disney's playing ball with them. I don't think any of those shows are going away anytime soon, so they're probably okay. They'll probably weather this, I think. Especially with these announcements, it feels like there's still investment being put into Adult Swim, where Cartoon Network is not being invested in.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, still a lot of news.
Oh yeah. Definitely a lot of news this week. And yeah, new Samurai Troopers Ronin Warriors. Cool. It's a sequel, but feels more like a reboot. But they will be fighting the evil that is Arago / Talpa, as we knew him. So we'll see. It's coming in January. That's pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, they must have been working on this for quite a bit, but they just announcing it like 6-7 months out.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder when they'll reveal more info.
One of the fun things of a live show is sometimes somebody can just hop in the Discord. Welcome, JP.
What's up? How am I sounding?
Oh, pretty good.
Just fine.
Yeah,
Any
I just
thoughts
got
about
news.
the news?
Yeah, I just heard y'all talk about the news. Man, it's been a very busy week.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. First of all, the WBD split. I do have my thoughts on that, and I kind of agree with y'all. It seems like Cartoon Network and Adult Swim maybe have to pay a license for the show now, because it seems like I saw the Variety press release about the studios and the networks being split, and I did not see William Street in that list. All I saw was CNS, Warner Brothers Animation, and Hanna-Barbera. So I don't know if William Street is a part of that as well, especially since Adult Swim pretty much operates at William Street. So we still don't know. We got so little details about what's going on in the future. Hopefully, we get some more info as these weeks and months goes by, especially with HBO Max rebranding this summer. Seems like it's gonna be in July, but yeah, I don't think Adult Swim will be affected as much as Cartoon Network will. But when it comes to like acquiring anime, it's like a wait and see. So yeah, it's been a newsworthy week so far.
What do you think about a second and third season of Ninja Kamui?
Oh man, I did not expect that, to be honest. But it's good. It's good for Toonami. I believe this is the first Toonami original outside of Fooly Cooly that got a second and third season.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a major plus for the block. Hopefully they can rectify things for the second and third season. Because they got us at the first half, I ain't gonna lie. Second half, is very questionable. But they got 2 seasons to try to rectify everything, trying to win back the audience, because there is potential for the show. Just like the Mex came from nowhere, and then
yeah, maybe because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems to be the most prevailing complaint from people, is the mecha aspect. I mean, I don't have any strong feelings about it. I loved how the visual parts of it, the animation, the CGI. I thought that it was stunning visually.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that whenever people complain about it, they very specifically didn't know what to do about the mecha incorporation after seeing like all this incredible human ninja skills.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
he's
that
got
was
this
my
enhancement.
yeah, that was my yeah. The Mex came out of nowhere.
Hmm.
But yeah, like you said, the visuals was cool. I think it just came out of nowhere. Nobody expected it, and we had to readjust how we look at this whole show now. Now that we got the second season coming up, we know what to expect now. So
Hmm.
let's
There
see where
might
this
be less mechs because he left that suit at the bottom of the river or something.
true. That is true.
Yeah, but if they want to bring the mechs back, they can have like, oh, but someone got the designs and have built new mechs, and then he gets a new
Yeah,
mech and all that kind
Certainly
of thing.
possible.
yeah,
I think it was the double whammy. It's like, okay, you got mechs. That's a tough enough pill to swallow, but I think people might have been more accepting of that if the animation had stayed 2D,
Yeah,
which
mhm,
would have been super
yeah,
expensive.
yeah.
it would have, but the integration it just didn't quite mesh.
No, it's unfortunate,
Mhm.
but they could definitely take that story somewhere. I don't think Joe Higan is a particularly interesting character, which is also kind of a problem. He really needed
Mm-hmm.
like Mike and Jason to bounce off of, and Emma, bless her heart, rest her soul. Why they not kill
That's one of
Emma?
the worst things they killed off. More interesting characters. It's like, come
That
on.
show would have been so
The
much
only
better if Emma
female
didn't die.
they killed off both of like the female
They
characters,
did.
didn't they? Because they killed off like the
It's just so
assistant to
ironic
the
that we got
CEO
these
guy.
great female characters that are yeah.
Well, not to be that person, but
Yeah, we gotta
back on topic. I'm
we
gonna
gotta
be
get
that
back on
person.
topic because we haven't even
Yes.
started talking about the shows from this past week.
No, and I'm itching to get into it. Some
It
juicy
was
stuff.
a very interesting episode of Lazarus.
Hmm.
So, Kuro, take it away.
Yeah, we begin with the news report about a rise in fevers and the medical response in what was a very familiar. I don't know if anyone
This
else had a bit of a
yeah,
PTSD
this is
response to watching
basically
that.
how people respond in the wake of COVID.
Yeah, it was
Particularly the idea of like
100%.
hospitals are too overrun. Stay
Like
home
everybody
if you feel
stay home.
symptoms.
100% getting COVID vibes from that, which is intentional, as we learned earlier today.
Yeah.
Um, Back at HQ, Doug shares the results of the drug, the pill they found at Skinner's house. Turns out it is used to prevent blood clots in patients with artificial hearts. Now, Elena, in her very illegally hacking medical records, says she can't find anything to suggest he ever had open heart surgery. So Hirsch suggests that he used possibly an elite hospital for rich people. Sorry. I can't keep the derision from my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, not at the show, just at you know, I think you can surmise why. Anyway, Leland abruptly stands up and changes into a suit and then requests Axel and Doug accompany him and says he might have a way that they can get access. Meanwhile, we see a scene where the assassin's PR guy makes a phone call looking for Axel. Back with the three guys, they drive to a large estate mansion where Leland gets them admitted past the gate, and we get our pop culture reference of the episode to Batman because it's a massive, massive estate, big mansion. The butler, yeah, because they have a butler, greets Leland, calling him the young master, and welcomes the other two after a little bit of confusion thinking they were the help, welcomes them to the Astor family mansion, who are described as an aristocratic family who have been around for centuries. And the boys definitely seem out of place here. We next meet Leland's sister, who is clearly resentful and hostile about seeing her brother again, and her name is Isabella. She initially jumps to some conclusions about why he's there when he attempts to ask her for a favor. And Leland counters by being very humble, taking a lot of her bullshit and asking to be introduced to their exclusive doctors. She launches into a complaint about the family's male progenitorship, and Leland mentions her taking a husband. And I had this what the fuck moment, because what year is this supposed to be? Are we really
Like
here?
in the 2050s. It's like, yeah,
Seriously?
seriously archaic. Yeah.
I know, it is archaic. And she angrily starts slapping him, and I was uncomfortable watching that. I know Doug and Axel were uncomfortable, but
Honestly,
that's
I feel
a
he
lot
had
of
it
mess.
coming for that comment. That was a pretty thoughtless comment on his part.
Oh yeah, I don't understand what his motivation for that was, but certainly putting all of their family business out there isn't very sophisticated or classy. She asks Leland to step up as the head of the family, and they just kind of launch into more arguing, unloading their family baggage. But we learn he's the child of a mistress, and he didn't have the greatest relationship with his father, and he has an older half brother who passed away. And Isabella then angrily tells Leland to leave. But after a moment, she comes back, calmed down, and says that she'll help him on the condition that he spends the weekend with her. He agrees but says he's going to come back next Sunday, implying that that everything will be okay. Just be patient. We're going to fix this situation, but presumably not telling her the details. And meanwhile, our friend HQ is eating his steak, and he gets a fortune cookie that reveals a QR code. So back with the boys, Leland shows up at something called the Exclusive Medical Society and meets the doctor. Her name is Dr. Miller, and she seems to know Leland intimately. Back with Hirsch, they're reviewing footage by something called the Skipple incident at an airport that apparently had previously been unavailable, but had become available to them. And as they're watching the video, Hirsch and Abel, we see Skinner at the airport talking to a child, and Hirsch speculates that Skinner at the time was trying to leak the existence of the HAPNA prototype to the public, and he was smuggling it out. Then we get a shot of Delta Force, who is at the time run by INSCOM, though there's no more Delta Force, as we know from the last episode. Delta Force clashes with the airport police in a very terrible situation of crossfire and mistaken miscommunication. The gunshots hit the suitcase, and a gas-like substance leaks from the suitcase before the camera cuts, and that's the last. And we learned that this incident was attributed later to a terrorist attack, that Skinner was brought back to in the institution that they were all working, and she says that he was a different person afterwards. So some very interesting tea right there. Back at the medical facility, the doctor takes out a cigarette, joking about, well, what's the point? Might as well indulge. And Leland begs her to basically violate patient confidentiality and tell them more about Skinner. Miller surprises them, saying that she had actually been waiting for someone to ask her. She reveals that Skinner did have surgery for an artificial heart, and the heartbeat data is constantly monitored, which Skinner himself had encrypted, disabling the ability for the doctors to monitor, and he made it untraceable. Dr. Miller ends up giving the firmware over to Leland to analyze, to see if potentially another third party was monitoring, but not before she shares some heartwarming information about Leland's father and their relationship. She also mentions, and I think this probably will come up again, that when they find Skinner, to bring him back, because she, as his primary care physician, would want to see him again. Between Abel and Hirsch, we also learn that years after this airport incident, the prototype ended up at a prison. Coincidentally, it was the same prison that Axel was being held at. and the prisoners were used as in clinical drug trials for this drug and others. However, of course, there's no documentation on file as to what happened. And apparently, the only proof is the doctor who is missing and Axel. So we're getting a much clearer picture now about why Inscom might be interested in Axel. And Hirsch is going to need Axel to secure the doctor as witness. Back after the boys leave the exclusive hospital, Leland begins to reveal that he was a spy, and when after thanking the boys for coming along, and Axel tells him, just chill, we knew all along. And Leland tries to suppress very emotional reaction. Meanwhile, Elena is tracking. When she gets access to the firmware, she starts tracking to the third party in Pakistan. Presumably, that is Popcorn Wizard, the other hacker who we met in a previous episode. She insists on going herself to pinpoint the location, stating that it's the only way they're going to be able to keep track of her. And Doug says, all right, you can go, but I'm going with you. Hirsch, in the meantime, briefs Axel about the situation with the clinical trial and finding the doctor. And we see the assassin jump into traffic. That can't be good. The plane takes off with Elena and Doug, and her temperature starts spiking, but she denies that anything's wrong. And then, presumably, in what appears to be a traffic accident caused by the assassin, Axel is stopped in the road, which is set ablaze. So we're definitely on our way to a massive confrontation here. Let's start with, I think, the juiciest bit of this, which is the incident at the airport and then what was revealed about the prison. Yeah, I feel like that's some meaty stuff right there. Big stuff. Lum, what are your thoughts?
I think that connects a few elements together. First of all, we already had suspects that, Axel was immune to Hopna. It didn't work on him. Now we have confirmation that, they were testing it at his prison, a prototype of it, and he was the only survivor. And so that kind of is a payoff to something that had been seeded in the show. So it's great that we're finally getting to the point where we're going to really start to get into that more openly. And we also get this detail like, earlier prototypes and versions of Hopna were lethal. So Skinner knew about this, and he knew the consequences of that could happen even in a more developer-refined version. So that also makes it a little questionable why he continued to pursue it, or whether he wanted to continue to develop Hopna, or he was kind of cajoled or forced into furthering its development by this other force that has now kind of sicked this assassin after Axel as a means of a cover-up.
I think it definitely it definitely gives us a different perspective on Skinner's role in all of this, where it's a lot more complex. I feel personally that I had suspected all along Skinner was not quite the culpable villain that initially it sounded like he was. That I don't think he would have deliberately made a drug that he knew was going to kill everybody. So I think this gives us really very clear probable doubt that was always his intention.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Skinner is actually in a situation where he wants someone to find him because he cannot escape from where he is. So he needs someone to come to him in order to do whatever that needs to be done to give the antidote for Hopna or whatever, because he's being confined somewhere by people who don't want him to give that out or say anything about it.
Oh, that's a good theory.
Yeah. JP, any thoughts about this episode of Lazarus? Or about the juicy details of, Skinner's past?
Yeah, real juicy. Got some tea spilling up in here.
It is.
But yeah, man, just like what the rest has said, I didn't feel like I didn't see Skinner as the heel as wrestling as wrestling fans would call him. He was like the more, I guess, a sympathetic heel or a tweener. That's what we call it in wrestling, where you know that they're probably not really truly the bad guy. But yeah, but like everybody else said, we got juicy detail. A lot of people said this. A lot of my friends said, "Oh, this episode was boring." I don't think it was boring. It was very story driven, which I like. We got a lot of details. We got a lot of things coming out now to build up for the next few episodes, the final few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, especially the backstory with Skinner, all the teas spilling. Ooh, it's getting quite hot right here, piping hot right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wonder if Skinner dying at the same time at the end of this 30-day time limit isn't perhaps not even a result of Hopna, but because of his own heart condition that we found out in this episode.
Oh, that's good. That they did give us that little dangling herring there about him needing to go back and see his Dr. Miller. So that's a good theory. I'm on board. Sketch. Any thoughts about all this?
Yeah, this was all the good stuff, man. I might be jumping to a conclusion here, but could the Schiphol airport incident have also involved Christine? Because her failed mission happened at an airport, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's good.
Yeah, I think that
Okay,
works really well.
I see the
actually.
vision now.
It could be unrelated, but I don't know. Feels like it could be connected. But man, how messed up is it that he's trying to take that prototype away and they shoot it and it releases a gas and instantly kills a bunch of people? Like, of course that's gonna mess a guy up.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
To think, oh my gosh, I just killed all these people.
It's
I think it really
interesting.
puts into perspective the potential accountability he's looking for globally from people
Mhm.
relying on this drug and the people who marketed this drug.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do
yeah.
like the theory that he can't go anywhere, that he's confined. Not sure how he's sending out his messages, but
Perhaps they were pre-recorded, and he had them
Yeah, that's
scheduled
what I
out
thought.
a
oh,
different
Yeah.
server.
yeah, that would make sense. I mean, is it totally the same scene where he could have recorded both messages and just said it so this one will release if I'm not found. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, that all works.
Yeah,
It's
at the
good to
same time,
finally go ahead.
yeah, I was about to say, at the same time, you can record podcasts in prison now too. Just ask Suge Knight. So that's always a possibility
Yeah,
too.
I just don't think his captors would necessarily, let him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming that
Yeah.
there are captors. And
Steven.
boy, this organization, this INSCOM, they seem to be up to some really shady stuff, trying to cover things up.
Yeah, it's
And-
very clear now that this is that this is about them covering up some extremely illegal and unethical activity.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's the only thing we're going to learn out of their motivation. I think there's
No.
probably more here of their culpability in all of this.
It's good we're finally getting something on Leland. We knew that he was honoring somebody in the first episode, getting picked up at the cemetery. I thought it was his mother, but I guess it was his father.
There's a lot of family drama.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we had like some flashback, with the Christine and her like old girlfriend relationship episode. We did get some flashbacks to kind of what their relationship in the past was like. I kind of wish we had some more of that with Leland and his father and sister. I felt like a lot of detail was just like talked about in like their like back and forth with each other. But I wish we kind of had like, lingered maybe a little more, as like she doesn't immediately come back and say why did this always end up like this. Maybe it's like they have to spend like a little more time at the mansion, and we get more reflections, and those lead to some flashbacks, and so we learn a little more about Leland that way. And then after some time, then that final like reconciliation happens. I wish we had seen a little more of that, because I do think there's potentially a lot of interesting things to explore with that relationship between Leland and his sister and their father. But I kind of feel like it didn't have a super lot of impact just from like, oh, they had one conversation about it in a very short amount of time, and we didn't really get to see what it was really like for him. Like Axel has this comment to Doug is like, oh, Leland wanted us to come here to see what life was like with him. I wish we as the audience had gotten to actually see that as well.
All I saw was that his sister looked very much like Relina Peacecraft, and I couldn't get it
Yeah.
out of my head. I was like,
Half
what's
expecting her to
Relina
say-
Peacecraft doing here other than waiting for Hiro Yui to come kill her?
Yeah.
Like when she's peering from the window, I was like, oh. That's some Relina behavior. Yeah, very old-fashioned in the far future. She can't inherit the company, even though she's probably very capable of doing so.
I mean, Leland can, if the situation is like, oh well, the father didn't like officially like pass the title to her, so this inheritance rule is still in effect. What Leland should do, since I don't think he has any interest in like running this estate or company, is to just like give her the authority, and then just wash his hands of it, and then she, as the head of the family, can then abolish this rule for the future. So that's really what they should do. And so now that they're hopefully talking again, maybe that's what will happen, because I feel bad for the sister. I think that she had a real raw deal in all of this, and like it's clear that she just wanted to like have a closer relationship with her brother, but her brother Leland was like kind of aloof and being a troublemaker and keeping his own distance from the rest of the family and baggage. So I can I definitely empathize and sympathize a lot with like, oh, her resentment towards him for that. But then also like, I want to reconcile with you, and we're our only family left, so I want to spend time with you and be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any final thoughts, Steven? You haven't had a chance to talk yet about the episode.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just in the background here. I would say this. Well, you said it. You said everything that I was going to say anyway. And all of you. But this was a media episode. It got it had to lift the bulk of the season by answering all the questions that we needed to answer up to now. But I will say, watching this one and then looking back at all the other episodes and seeing the hints that it dropped in, so it probably wasn't Skinner watching his grandma. It was probably Inscom watching his grandma. There was a lot of stuff. So Inscom seems to be the main villain as of now. I don't know if what's that going to be like, right? It's interesting because they're trying to focus on Skinner being that main villain, and it's like, okay, we see the true villain, or could be what the true villain is, but what? Why? That's kind of the reason. We'll probably get that at the end, but why would they be doing that? It doesn't seem ideal for them to do that, but I did have a question. So that incident at the airport that Skinner was involved in, all of them died, right? All of the people around that when
Why
they
didn't
gasped.
Skinner?
Why didn't
Well-
Skinner die? Unless it was the prototype of Hopna. Was that 3 years ago? And he would be the first victim. Because maybe he didn't take it. Maybe that was it.
I think that more than likely
Maybe.
that's what made him get the new heart.
Oh, okay.
It could be. It
Yeah.
could
I
be
don't
he's
know for
also like
sure.
Axel. Maybe he is like immune to it, but even so, he still, and that's why he had to, still get treatments for his heart because he can't take
Mhm.
Hopna himself.
Yeah.
It'd be like the whole
Yeah.
The Last of Us situation where he's a carrier of an immunity and like he's the cure,
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
I-
I don't know. I
it's-
don't want to speculate too much because I don't feel strongly about that. I just feel like we got so much information
Oh,
this
yeah.
episode that, just trying to process what that means for
Mhm.
what has already happened and not what will happen.
Then you have the assassin going after Axel for the reason
Imagine being
of
that crazy.
man, that guy had some like he was like a video game villain, just like popping out of the thing, just throwing out grenades, like someone from Fortnite, just throwing everything. It's like, man, it's like you want to be targeted,
Someone
and
from
just
Fortnite.
going after the one guy. And it's like, hey, come here, near me. It's like Axel knows this. What is this guy crazy? I mean, yeah, but I mean, this guy's next level crazy.
Yeah. It reminds me of when I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima and I just walk into a Mongol camp. I'm like, all right, I'm going to fuck shit up. Let's do this, guys. Chaos ensues. Except they're the bad guys. Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I think it's my favorite episode so far in terms of exposition and storytelling. It's definitely pretty interesting, and it has a lot of implications for what we've seen and potentially where the next 3 episodes are going. So I guess we'll see. I think it's a good time to transition to the next juicy plot development episode sketch.
Juicy plot, as in all the juices that the Soul Reapers spilled.
Oh, Jujutsu plot is in there's a lot of debt in the same way as a Jujutsu Kaisen.
This series is gonna leave me traumatized. I'm not even joking anymore. When we started talking before we recorded, I was like, "This was dark," and Sketch starts laughing at me like, "You've been saying that about every episode." And I was like, "Well, it is. It is.
You're
dark.
not wrong.
It's getting darker."
Laser warned us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is getting bleak. This is not going well
Bleach.
for the Soul Reapers.
Rename the show.
I didn't realize they had enough to be that expendable.
Yeah.
yeah.
There are a lot of characters in Bleach.
Apparently,
and
over
Society's
1,000 Soul Reapers have died within 7 minutes of this invasion, including
Yeah.
Dime Store Aizen. Oof.
Yeah, they should have waited on I guess like massacring all those people in the Rukon district because the Vanderek I think took care of the balancing the souls thing.
Yeah, I think we're real good and balanced right about now.
I think a little
Maybe
too balanced.
maybe they need to go kill some more hollows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you really think Dime Store Aizen was going to stick around?
I didn't,
No,
but
it's like a character that was like, oh, well, you're gonna die immediately.
Yeah, that was
That's
my
yeah.
impression as
Yeah.
well. I wasn't going to say it. I was like,
some
"He's
other
kinda
red
nice."
shirts were like, "Oh man, I didn't sign up for this," and then Renji's like, "Actually, you did."
I mean, it leaves an impact when you see like an established character immediately like get like, if not confirmed dead, like gravely, horribly wounded in a way that's like, oh man, how do you survive that? With Kira, so
Yeah, Kira.
that
Yeah.
sets the tone for like, oh, this is serious business.
Yeah. Third Division Captain Rojiro Rose Otorobashi meets Stern Raider Yu na Jaku. What is this character design, Kubo? Come on. bless Zeno
Yeah.
Robinson for taking on this role because it would have been real uncomfortable white guy voiced him.
Not great. Black members of the Vandenreich, not great designs.
Like the teeth,
Hell
man.
no.
Like what is going on with
Bruh, the
what is
teeth,
going on with the
bruh.
checkered past teeth?
Yeah.
But they had an interesting conversation. It's like, oh, was it bad news? Yeah, but I'm not telling you. Oh man, the squad captains are having a hard time. So we got 6th Division Captain Byakuya Kikuchi and Lieutenant Renji Aburoi facing off against Stern Ritter S Note. Okay. And Stern Ritter S Mask Demasculine. 7th Division Captain Sajin Kamamura, aka the dog guy, fighting Stern Ritter E Bombietta Basterbean, who keeps calling him Doggy. And it's kind of adorable, actually.
Where did he come up with
I
these
for
names?
Komura be insulting.
And Byakuya realizes it's not sealing. There's a T in there. They're stealing the Bankai.
Yeah, I mean, initially he's
Yeah.
like, well, we can't beat these guys without using our Bankai, but if they do, like, seal them, use this opportunity, Renji, to attack them. And it's like, well, what if he can also just steal Renji's Bankai immediately? You know, then none of you guys have Bankais. I think this plan was a bad idea, Byakuya. And then later, Mayuri is like, well, someone was going. Oh no, it was Shinsui. Shinsui was saying, well, someone would have to have sacrificed their Bankai so we could figure out what they're actually doing. But I wish we had waited a bit. And Mayuri's like, yeah, you should have waited a bit. I was doing research and I just figured it out. So you could have stopped like 6 of the most powerful Bankais being stolen. So
great, good job,
bad
guys.
communication and coordination between these guys.
My gosh, man, thinking of Byakuya's power being stolen, you're like, oh no.
Oh no.
That thing wrecked Ichigo. Not to mention plenty of other people. Oh, yikes. So,
It's so pretty too.
It is very pretty. Pretty deadly. So yeah, Soifon, Kamamura, Hitsugaya, and Byakuya all lose their Bankais to this stealing method. And Rangiku uses her power to inform everyone that the Quincy's are stealing the Bankai. Say, hey, don't use the Bankai. And Shinji, remember Shinji? He's back in the squad guards now, and he's like, I can't believe those idiots. You let them steal their Bankais. It's like, oh, come on, Shinji. Chill out. And 8th Division Captain Shunsui. Man, I love this guy. He's so chill. He's having a hard time of his own against Stern Ritter and Robert Akutoron, who's a dandy gentleman, I must say. And he blinded his right eye. Not very nice. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to keep a brave face, and you just blew a hole in it. Love him. He's always been one of my favorite Soul Reaper captains.
I agree. Though I feel like, oh, this is like very quick.
This is bad. This is
very for him to lose his eye.
This is very Bleach.
His one good eye.
His one
Very
good.
I mean, characters lose their limbs all the time, and it's fine because they'll just.
No, it's not fine. It's definitely not fine.
It is fine. Characters lose their limbs all the time, Bleach, and then they just, I don't know, do surgery and whatever, and they reattach them. But like Shunsui, I don't think Shunsui's eye is healing. If it's not a lip, that doesn't heal, I guess.
Oof. So yeah, it's looking bad. The Soul Reapers basically can't put a scratch on these guys without using their Bankai. And if they use their Bankai, then they're gonna steal their Bankai.
Don't steal it. Yo.
It's not a good situation. So
that's my Bankai, punk.
Akon tries to call Ichigo, and Kisuke intercepts me like, "Hey, how's it going? How are things?" It's like, this is a serious situation. Get me to Ichigo. I'm sorry, he's a little busy right now. By the way, they keep trying to steal his Bankai, and it's not working. He's like, excuse me? It's not working? Get Ichigo Kurosaki here immediately. Ichigo's a little tied up fighting Kilgay, who's just so unhinged at this point. And they're having like a little conversation in the middle of their fight about Bankai, and Ichigo's like, "Are you afraid of Bankai?" And he took offense to that, but it threw him off his game long enough for Kisuke to do a death shot. Seemingly looked like he killed him. He didn't. But Ichigo heads towards Soul Society while Kisuke quickly analyzes the Quincy to determine the 4 powers he possesses, one of which he conveniently forgets about. The Volstern Deech, Blute, which is the ability to radically increase either their offensive or defensive capabilities using Reishi. That's why the attacks aren't working. And of course, Bankai Plundering. And then there's Ranso Tengai, which was the one he inconveniently forgot about, which allowed him to survive long enough to fire an arrow at Kisuke, hurt everybody else, and trap Ichigo in a cage of pure energy that no Soul Reaper has been able to escape from. So even though Ichigo's probably the only one that can help, can't go anywhere. Rough. And that about sums up episode 4, Kill the Shadow. JP, what are your thoughts on everything so far?
Oh man, like I've already seen the show throughout, so y'all are in for a ride, just like Laser said. First of all, shout out to my boy Naja Kabope, aka Timu DJ Professor K from Jet Set Radio. Oh man, look like Grandpa from Afro Samurai. Oh man, they did that man dirty, bro. I was like, if they had a white person voice this, is like we're gonna have to have a conversation. We're gonna have to be like Kendrick Lamar. We gotta let the party die, bro. Oh man.
Thank God this came out in the year 2022 instead of I guess if they continue the anime and this was done in 2015 or whatever.
Right. Oh man.
Woo.
And second of all, who still uses flip phones? Come on, Ichigo, step up your phone game, bro. That's wow. But seriously though, this episode was this was a wild episode. They out here stealing Bankais like that Debo from Friday. Man, it's but yeah, it gets if you thought this was wild, I'm telling you, y'all better be prepared because it gets even crazier throughout the show. I don't want to say too much to not to spoil it, so just stay tuned.
You've seen all of it, the full series.
I've seen all of it, yes. But yeah, it's you're in for a wild ride. But yeah, this episode was definitely juicy.
Yes, indeed.
Not in a fun way.
Absolutely not.
Kuro, explore your feelings.
You know, I don't like that the one thing that they could use to fight these psychos is taken away from them. Like, I get it. They're trying to make the plot pretty extreme to set the bar really high and everything. But holy crap, you know, first you slaughter an entire division, then you take away any chance of them defending themselves. Like, I don't understand. What are you just trying to let them all be helpless? Are they all supposed to just run away and hope they survive being rounded up in the equivalent of, you know, whatever creepy concentration camp shit that's definitely going to happen here? I don't know. I don't understand why it has to be so dark.
Seems like an efficient plan.
I mean, the Soul Society are the ones who made like concentration camps for the Quincy's, or at least tortured
Yeah.
a bunch of them.
Don't think I don't understand the irony here is that this is meant to be some pushback, but we also have learned, and I'm assuming that they'll go into further detail as the series progresses, that there was about 100 years, 200 years of back and forth between the two entities on, their outlook on balance of the world and how to deal with the hollow problem in general. So, this ended up being a terrible product of war, and this is why men shouldn't be in charge of anything, quite frankly. I'm sorry, but that's part of the problem.
Wow.
It's all these guys getting mad and using violence. But yeah, I really I actually I don't like how intense it was. I felt really overwhelmed. I still want to learn about what's happening. Where were all of the Quincy's hiding? When do I get to learn about that? I want to know where they all were, and I want to go back to our boy Urio, figure out how's he dealing with all of this, because he's young. His feelings are important. Yeah, I'm hoping we get to see that in the next part of the story soon, because I don't think I could handle another slaughter.
Uh-oh. I know nothing, but I get the feeling we're far from the end of the slaughtering.
Good.
Yeah.
And certainly not limb loss or eye loss. Oh my god. I can't with the loss of vital components of the body. I can't do it. I can't handle it. It makes me so upset. So upset. And this is just what?
They can take his eye, but they'll never take his swagger.
These are just a couple of Sternritters. This isn't even their army, too.
Well,
and they've caused
aren't the
this much
Sternritters
chaos.
like the captain equivalents?
Yeah, they're basically the equivalent, and there's 26 of them, one for each letter of the alphabet, so.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, that makes I can't wait until we meet Sternritter Z.
26 that's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's there's the Gote 13, 13 captains and vice captains. So it's
you know what is half of 26? 13.
13.
Yeah.
And they got the vice captain, so
Yeah.
Pretty useful that Rangiku can send a message to everybody. That's good power. Steven, what are your thoughts on this episode?
Great episode, once again. How do they have cell phone service in the other dimension? I mean, they must be paying some pretty big bills to get that coverage over there.
That's definitely roaming.
Yeah. Man, this show, they don't call it the 1,000-year blood war for nothing, man. It's ultra violent. I mean, it's nothing like watching Hellsing Ultimate, at 2 something in the morning, half asleep, when I was doing that. That was going on. But I mean, it's bloody, man. But I think it fits for the show. It adds some that, what was it? What's the word? Gravitas to the powers of these people are not to be messed with. And they prepared. They must have been I don't know what kind of practice they were doing, but this is this is no scramble on the field. Okay, figure out what's going on. This is these guys practice and did a lot of damage before that. Another thing that I found strange and weird, because I took notes in this episode. Usually I don't. I just watch it. The Soul Society's hierarchy is a dysfunctional workplace.
Yes.
I mean, it is.
I mean, it's a dysfunctional bureaucracy because they have this there is a government body council beyond the Gote 13. That was the whole thing in the Soul Society arc, is that Aizen infiltrated and assassinated all the council members, unbeknownst to everyone. But yeah, there's very complicated bureaucracy, and which makes for very poor communication on all levels of how the Soul Society operates.
It feels like exactly what you said. It's like a dysfunctional bureaucracy workplace because it's like everyone's stuck in their ways, but they don't communicate on the same page. And they're treating Ichigo like the head of HR, and all of these people are like, oh, send the head of HR to, the upper management. He'll deal with it all. And they're all relying on him, and that's why he's stuck in, like, the inner dimension place, like, waiting for some, MacGuffin to come and rescue him, because it's like they can't do anything without him. And I understand, yes, that's, like, the premise of an anime like this. He's the one. He's the Goku. He's the Luffy. But it's like you're relying on him too much, and you should have understood that you're doing that too much on him, because when you're caught in these situations, which they were always called in these situations before he came and during, they still relied on him to get him out because, he was the substitute. He was the one that didn't think like him. And so I see that problem, like, it I don't know if that's like a writing problem, that they focus on him too much, even though, yeah, he's the main character. It feels like the others don't have that autonomy of like, we can fight back and do some damage to them. I mean, what damage they can do to them if they're taking their Bankai and, doing all that stuff. But at least get on the same page, man. Figure that out. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing.
Yeah, I mean, they should have figured, hey, Ichigo's the guy who beat Aizen for us. We should probably involve him in our plan to fight back against this big threat of the Vandenreich that killed the vice captain. So, we should invite him to stay at the Seirete in preparation for any attack. And they kind of waited too long for that. You can't blame them for not knowing, Ichigo was immune for having his Bankai stolen and things like that. But immediately after, making their plan of like, okay, well, we can't go to them. We got to prepare for them to attack us. They should have called Ichigo to the Soul Society to kind of join them in their defenses. So that is something that is a failing.
And in fairness, Ichigo probably should have reached out to them and said, hey, this guy tried to take my Bankai or whatever.
I don't think he even realized that's what he was doing, so he didn't really put two and two together.
Yeah, I know he's a teenage boy, but still, he probably should have mentioned something about him trying to do something.
He should have given a report.
Yeah, he didn't really give a report. At least we didn't see him give a report.
I mean, they really leave Ichigo to his own devices as a substitute Soul Eater. So he's not like really, he doesn't really report to anyone. He's just kind of left on his own. And they kind of got that grace because of what he did in defeating Aizen. And I guess it took them like 2 years for them to be like, we'll reinstate Ichigo as substitute Soul Reaper and give him back his Shinigami powers, his Soul Reaper powers, or whatever. It took them a very long time to like do that, but like after that, they were like, yeah, and you have these powers and you can guard Karakura Town or whatever. But then like I don't think Ichigo was even informed, like, actually we're having these two assistant newbies also join you in like being assigned to Karakura Town. And it's like, yeah, this is very poor communication with Ichigo, like between Soul Society and Ichigo.
Definitely. I could see Yamamoto thinking that we shouldn't involve Ichigo Kurosaki and have to. So it was good on Akon's part to be like, we have to involve Ichigo Kurosaki. Forget procedure. We are calling him.
Yeah, I don't know if they kept... I forget if they kept this in the anime, but I was flipping through the manga again, and there was this point after, like, Akon was telling everyone, hey, I called Ichigo Kurosaki here, and we have, like, this shot of Mayuri being like, Akon acting on his own. And it's like, Mayuri, like, this is don't be so stubbornly prideful of like, oh, no, we gotta follow the chain of command. It's like this is a crisis
Just like you
situation.
followed the chain of command when you killed all those people.
Yeah, when no one orders and not telling anyone, causing confusion. And also you massacred like innocent souls to balance this stuff out, which
and you
should
really
be
didn't have
more
to,
morally
evidently.
questioned. Yeah, Mayuri is like a pretty awful character, just morally, and it's kind of frustrating that the series always ignores that at this point, considering he tortured he arranged for the death of Uryu's grandfather and then tortured and like experimented on tortured his corpse and was gloating about that to Uryu. That was literally his introduction to us as the viewers.
Oh my gosh.
And we kind of forgotten about that he's like this cruel like psychopath, because
but we'll
I guess
never forget the
Reaver.
giant creepy baby.
No. Definitely see that again, I'm sure, when he gets his opportunity.
Yeah, steal his Bankai.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait.
That's
If they
something
steal
else.
it, they'll use it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty deadly
Yeah.
too. It
Seal
spits out
his
poison.
Bankai.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
the tea out.
If there's anyone the Quincy should be getting revenge on, it is really just Yamamoto and Mayuri, in terms of like, these are the war crimes against the Quincy people. They're kind of the biggest culprits in this.
Yeah. Well, I think that'll probably do it for this episode. Good discussion, folks. It's bleak. Not sure how Ichigo's gonna break out of that cage, but he'll probably find a way. But bless her heart, that one Soul Reaper gal at the communications spot, she's like, Ichigo Kurosaki, he'll come, he'll save.
I'm like, who are you? Do we know you?
They're gonna need a better plan than just relying on Ichigo.
Oh, for sure.
That can't be your plan. That's not gonna.
Yeah, you can't just
He can't
always
take
rely
on an entire
Goku.
army by himself. He can't do that.
I don't
He's
know.
just
It worked
one
pretty well
kid.
for Naruto.
Ugh.
I mean, not in the pain. Well, I guess, but like, a lot of people, a lot
Naruto
of destruction
ain't like that.
happened in the pain arc before Naruto arrived. So
Yes.
it's a good thing that Nakato could undo all that. But what if he didn't? There'd be a lot of people dead still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that training Ichigo just like Jalen Brunson of the Knicks. Like y'all put it all on him, and then we'll lose.
Oh boy.
Okay. Well, let's move on to more family drama and intrigue and treachery.
This was yes. So where we left off last episode, we had some discussion about the potential traitor and Ryuji still seething about his father's role in running the Miyota sect. So he's busy angrily contemplating the meeting from the previous episode and thinking about the potential traitor, as well as the accusations that Momoshi Hojo made against his father, who, if we recall, is also a former student of Toto. Determined to confront his father about what's going on, he proceeds to go. He decides he's going to go to where he's staying on the mountain, but is interrupted when he spies Juzo acting suspiciously. As Juzo proceeds, he is met with some monks who start asking questions, which he deflects, saying that nothing happened at the meeting, and they said, well, that's curious because security is questioning all the different members. And he thinks about that and then goes, after they leave, pulls the key out of his robe, which Ryuji identifies as the key to the field office, and follows him. When Juzo descends an elevator, Ryuji, following him, comes across many monks injured and jumps to the conclusion that it was caused by Juzo, and they're all down in the deep keep now. In the meantime, Rin, who's focusing on his candle training, is actually taking it seriously this time and manages to get 2 candle wicks lit. Yay! Everybody's happy. Even Kuro's happy, which I can relate to. Shura says now they can finally get started on his training. Oh, now that's buzz in his training. Flashback to the scene with the Grigori and Mephisto testifying about Fujimoto raising Rin as a weapon for the Order. Rin knows that he doesn't really have a choice. He has to learn how to control his. He has to learn how to control his flames in order for them to keep him alive. And for the record, Mephisto had posed a wager to the Grigori, which they accepted, but set certain conditions, which is where Rin is at. Poor kid. Back with Juzo, he continues down into the Deep Keep and confronts Mamushi, which clarifies at that point to Ryuji who the real traitor is. Mamushi is also turns out to be the one who was responsible for activating the sacred flame, which went out of control during the incident. She states that she was attempting to open the Miyota-sect's eye to who the real traitors were, which she states is the Precept, who is Mephistopheles, and the Master, who is Suguro's father, Master Suguro. She said that 8 years ago, when cram school, when she was studying under Todo, he had pulled her into his office and brought up the left eye of the Impure King, which she had never heard about. And it seems like he's trying to get info from her, but she admits to not knowing anything about it. It was truly masterful manipulation right there, as he successfully gets her to think that the Order is actually the corrupt entity, and she, in this zealousness and obviously a loyalty to Todo, had found out the information about the secret hearing over Rin. And she's firmly in the belief that Mephisto is involved in a conspiracy and that Suguro is complicit. She feels that she can't trust her superiors, she states, and subsequently unleashes her serpents and says that Todo is going to seal both eyes away safely. Okay, lady. Wow, imagine being that deluded. Anywho, she doesn't trust the elders of Miyota. It includes her father, who is watching in pain all of this play out on a screen where they have their security systems alongside the other two elders, including Master Suguro himself and Shima's father. So things have very much escalated, and painfully, her father agrees, Hojo agrees, that they need to detain her. But before that can all happen, Juzo says Mamushi is wrong, and she attacks him, and they fight. And it's a pretty cool little sequence before Ryuji stupidly tries to interfere. I don't know what he thought he was going to do there. Like, come on, kid. Meanwhile, Rin and Shura sense something is happening up at the field office, and Rin and Kuro decide they're going to go investigate when Shura pulls them back. Rin just doesn't, he just does what he wants. Like, no, we're going to go see. And she's like, no, that's not going to happen. But then another explosion happens at the field office, and she's like, all right, let's just go. So all three of them take off. An alarm goes off around all the buildings, indicating that the keep is being broken into. And back in the Deep Keep, the ceiling begins to crumble around Juzo and Mamushi, and our old friend Todo arrives. Juzo tries to call Todo out for tricking Mamushi, but he states that she's the one who asked for help. And Juzo points out, rightfully so, that she's been brainwashed. Mamushi then pulls out the left eye and disappears under a cloud. So, oh shit, it's happened. It's bad. And all the monks arrive and see what went down. Ryuji inappropriately decides that this is the right time to confront his father. While he's screaming and blaming his dad for everything, Rin and Shura arrive. He accuses his father of betraying them, and Suguro basically responds that it's need to know, and says, I don't have time to explain this to you, and I'm not going to tell you, and I'm just going to go after Mamushi. And he does so, interesting, because he's not firm or confrontational with his son. He's very timid, I would say. Ryuji continues his teenage hissy fit in public, which triggers Rin's own memories of the last day with his dad. as Master Suguro tries to leave, Rin interferes, and he calls out Ryuji for being an ass and punches him in the face, which was well deserved in my very strong opinion. We see Kuro disappear, and in a really cute sequence. You know, this is funny because this is something that cats will do, and they sense stress. They try to calm you down by rubbing against you, and during his scene, you see Ren's really angry, and Kuro's rubbing against his face. He's a good kitty. Yes, I appreciate that deeply. Anyway, Rin demands that Ryuji apologize to his father while he still can. Y'all are really messy. The feelings Rin has causes him to control of his flames, and it happens unfortunately in front of the entire sect. And the boys start fighting, like real fighting with their subsequent abilities, and it's very ugly. And during the fight, Rin points out, you know, his own agony over his father, and that it'll be too late to apologize once he's dead. At that point, Juzo, there's a bit of a lull while Ryuji contemplates this, and then Juzo jumps in and attacks Rin, trying to tell Ryuji to run, because of course they've seen his blue flames now, and they're all triggered. Rin's not doing anything to mitigate the situation, so Shura steps in, sealing his abilities with her own mantra, and attempts to tries to give him the opportunity to get himself under control, get a grip, stop being teenage boy. But Rin's lost control of his feelings, so Shura continues whatever sealing mantra she's using, and because he refuses to listen and is being a dumb boy. Then the director, who is Shima's father, shows up demanding an explanation from Shura as she tries to say, hey, can I just put him somewhere? I promise I'll explain everything. And Kuro is left frantically trying to wake Rin up. Yeah, some big drama, but also now it's a lot of things moving, right? Let's start with you, Sketch. What did you think about this big confrontation between Mamushi and Juzo and her whole viewpoint about the situation with the sect? I mean, technically, she's not wrong. What she's been told is true, but it's a really interesting manipulation of how to interpret the facts, I thought.
Yeah. She is her reaction is understandable, but she doesn't understand, like, obviously, well, we let the son of Satan live. He's being brought up by Mephisto. He's among us. Like, okay, that's alarming, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the organization has gone crazy and has become evil, much less that Ryuji's father has ruined things by siding with True Cross.
Mm-hmm. And incidentally, there was never any indication either eyes were at risk at that point until her interaction with Toto, and she's being really naive about that in assuming he's going to seal them both away, and we know he's absorbed one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess I was thinking correctly when she was having that conversation with her sisters, like, you believe me, do you? And like, of course, sister. Was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. That was a pretty big tell.
Yeah, but I didn't think that was gonna be wrapped up in just one more episode. That was, and of course they're trying to make us think that Juzo is the problem because he's the person who rushed in. It's like, what's Juzo up to? It's like, oh, but no, it's her. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting that the master and the elders both catch her on video. I'm like, oh, so the master's probably been kind of working behind the scenes on all of this all along, even though Ryuji thinks he's not doing anything.
Honestly, the audacity of this kid thinking he's entitled to anything. And I mean, he's 15, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, like, it was, I just remember how angry it made me in that sequence because it was so inappropriate for him to be having what is essentially a private family dispute in front of the entire sect.
Like, you punk kid, you
Yeah,
realize,
it's not
like,
a
if
time
you
and
walk away,
place
yeah, if you walk away
kinda
right
thing.
now, you're not my father.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Over
that's a
this?
childish thing. It's not something,
is.
you know, because
And it doesn't
you know,
make him look good. It doesn't make him look like he's standing up for the clan or any of that. It makes him look like he's a petulant teenage boy.
it's
Yeah.
all personal.
And
Yeah.
Rin
Mhm.
rightfully
It's-
calls him out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if he's close to Kung Furin, because like you know, he said the same thing basically to Father Fujimoto, and then
Mhm.
before all this stuff happened, and
He doesn't
you know,
want the
Fujimoto
same
died.
thing to happen.
It's
Bless
yeah,
his heart.
basically.
He's not good at communicating it, though.
No,
Absolutely
definitely.
not.
He's a little too forceful, and now he's blown his. I mean, some of them probably knew, but now all of them know,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
gonna
Yeah.
complicate things.
It's might be better this way. I mean, provided they have the opportunity to explain themselves. I think
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
mean-
betrayal part of keeping the secret is what makes people angry and mistrustful.
also,
Exactly.
Yeah.
while they're all dealing with this nonsense in Ryuji's outburst, she's getting away. She's getting further away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
again, it's
he's
like
gone.
you know, priorities.
Time and place, like Ryuji's dad, you know, he's not handling this well either, but he's like, hey, I gotta go. But also, dang, Ryuji is like, you know where the door is? Like, what? You went from, if you leave right now, you're not my father, to get out of here. What?
Like, boy, make up your mind.
I
Impulsive
mean,
young
it's a
man.
very like childish, like you know, being upset at your parents kind of thing. So you know,
Mhm.
understanding he's a teenager and he has all this like kind of frustration with his dad from just what he sees and observes. Like, oh, his dad kind of like, you know, kind of abandoned the temple or whatever, and is kind of not involved and not doing much, at least from what he thinks. Like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know, and it's like his father could be a little more communicative, like, oh no, this is a bit what I'm doing, but he also has his reasons why he can't like tell people some of the secret stuff that he's doing, so you can also understand like
Does
why
he,
he's keeping
though?
things. I don't know, but like clearly this just a situation that could be resolved with like better communication that did not have to like blow up.
Oh
in
my
this way.
goodness.
Absolutely.
And better emotional regulation, I can say. I
Yeah.
mean, Ryuji's been simmering for 2 episodes, ready
these,
to. He's just been waiting to explode on his dad. And it's interesting, you know, like we said, it wasn't just that this was inappropriate timing, but also that, you know, his complete lack of situational awareness that there wasn't a threat. They lost the right eye, left eye. There's a serious threat now to the stability of the entire sect, and it's more important to have his teenage boy hissy fit than it is to, like, all right, like, I'm angry and I got to deal with this with you. We have to talk this out, but we got to get after Mamashi. She's left and she's got some crazy ideas too from someone we know is being dishonest. What absolute masterful manipulation though on his part. All he did was tell her the facts and let her guided her down these dark rabbit holes, and like he said, you know, she came to me. Like, yeah, okay, dude.
Mm-hmm. As if she wasn't drawn there.
Yeah.
I
JP,
do
any
want,
thoughts about? Oh, go on.
I did want to mention that she brings up that they used this their greatest power to seal away the son of Satan's power. So the sword? Is it the sword that she's talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The relic was the sword.
Mm.
Mm. But yeah, man, family drama, man. It's like it's like I'm here watching the episode. Like, boy, there's a time and place for this. We ain't got time for this family drama shit right now. We gotta fight all these people, bro. And like he's doing
Yeah.
all this manipulation. Like I understand he's a teenager. I understand teenagers go through that. I went through that when I was younger. But man, it's like there was a time and place for that. And Mama She was going through it, man. Yeah. It's like this family is just so dysfunctional. And then at a time where you
Mm-hmm.
need to focus on defeating these guys. So yeah, man. So they did definitely need some therapy. I mean, if we had a sponsorship right now, I would be asking for better help. So
Oh.
Stephen, do you feel like you're getting a little bit closer to your resolution with, the Ryuji and Rin's friendship coming back to a good place?
I gotta say, this show is the best when it hits with emotional. When it hits with all the emotional content. The rest of it, I can take it or leave it. But
Aw.
when they get, I mean, aside from Kuro, we know everyone's favorite cat, but
Obviously.
yes, but this show hits when uh the the emotions come out. I mean, it's what you want to see, but it's like finally Rin is saying, to everyone. Hold on, I got my notes here. I have to pull that up. It's like he finally says, "I didn't choose to be Satan's son." It's like
Mm-hmm.
finally you didn't choose that. I mean, it's like yes, he didn't choose that, and it's like everyone chose that for him, and it's like they all said that you're Satan's son. Well, yeah, he is, but he didn't choose it. He was, he was he had Shiro as his father, and even though they had like tons of issues and everything, he was still loved him. He still thought about him. And it's like, yes, there's that heavy focus on relationships and bonds and all that stuff, but it's like there's a message that it's trying to tell you in the show is that like, you know, I I don't know. I've been trying to think of that message for like a week, but it's like it's there that even though you're like right in front of them, it must be hard for a father or for a mother or for any parent to see their kid like watch you and they watch you grow up through their eyes and they see all the things that you accomplish and don't accomplish. And then even after years of like following your path and doing everything that you do and it, it must hurt when your children say to you that they hate you, and no matter what you can do, even though they are your flesh and blood or they're adopted or whatever, it's like you did the best you could do for them, and we don't see it in that light. And it's the same thing of like that teen angst and all that stuff. It's like, oh, I don't need you anymore. I'm smarter than you, and you're like 15. And it's like,
Yeah, because
yeah, I
they're
get that. Yeah.
teenagers are natural narcissists, honestly, at that
Yeah.
age.
And their
They
Yeah.
think
brains are
they
not
know better.
developed and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but it's like,
And they may not
yeah,
have
go ahead.
emotional regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
Ryuji doesn't.
that's what the story is kind of like telling us that they're teens, they're going to make mistake,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also telling you don't worry about that and maybe I don't know. It's like it's trying to tell you don't worry about that and kind of just trust the process of becoming older and becoming that adult because eventually you're going to see the same thing happen again and again and again through parents' eyes, grandparents' eyes, and you're going to be in that situation soon. I don't know. Maybe I was just talking too much and thought about it too much, but yeah.
And
I
certainly,
didn't
It's
even
like
see
a
it that way.
message communicating, like, oh, see things beyond just your perspective, and like kind of look at it from your father's point of view, other people's point of views. I do think that's like a general, like, kind of observation or message that the show brings across.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with that. I didn't even see it from that perspective, but yeah, you was absolutely right. Teenagers, they think they know it all. I definitely thought I knew it all when I was 14, and I didn't see, the teenage, like, we don't really develop our basically common sense until like our mid-20s or like early 30s. So yeah, so like he says, like, this is gonna happen over and over and over again, and we have to probably put our trust in you to take care of us, and I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that was a good observation.
One of the things I like about this episode is they spent the first few laying the groundwork for the situation at the sect, and here we get really hit with everything kind of imploding, and the plot starts to sort of hit its stride. Because you're the only other person here, I think, that's seen, alongside me, the rest of the season. What did you think about this episode specifically in terms of how it's like laying out where the rest of the story is going and what happened here?
I forgot that they got to the reveal of like who was the traitor and being manipulated by Toto this quickly, but I think this is a good turning point for the story. And like kind of like, getting to the next point of like, okay, things have like blown up, Rin's in a bit of trouble. But he's kind of made it clear to Siguro, like he's trying to warn, hey, don't alienate your dad, you're gonna regret that, because I know from experience I regretted that. So, make up, and that will hopefully get Siguro thinking of like, okay, maybe I should like try and understand my dad a bit more. And then we're also kind of getting into this idea, oh, like, no, Siguro's dad is like more involved in this, and he's up to stuff in the background that he can't tell people about, but he's clearly not just like this like kind of layabout who is not really involved with things that Siguro thinks he is. And like, this has escalated the conflict a lot more, because now both of the eyes are in Toto's hands and they have to get them back. So yeah, I think this is really good pacing for the story. I don't exactly remember like the pacing of like how the rest of the events of the arc play out, but I've been after revisiting this story material for the first time in like probably 10 years, I'm really enjoying like, oh yeah, this is really really strongly well written and focused on developing the characters, relationships between them, and like the unfurling of like the overall like conflict is really well done in like kind of being supported by the character development. So yeah, it's really really been a great and enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, and we're on episode 4, so you're right on point there with how the pacing is playing out, with laying the character groundwork, and now episode 4, like, this is still fairly early, but we've escalated the conflict. We've escalated how poorly the situation is, and I'll point out that we had another twin-free episode. we didn't have to deal with Rin's brother. He will not be named. I do think it's funny because wasn't it his part of his job to be tracking Toto? And wow, they massively fucked that part.
Good job, Yukio.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoops.
I'm sure you will only fail upward.
Oh God. I mean, I'm glad I didn't see him, but I just really want to rub it in his stupid face that like, well, you didn't do your job, so now you've made it everybody's problem.
Yeah.
Failing upwards are accurate though.
It's like, Yukio, where you at? The story is happening here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Toto did like
You're supposed to be here.
trick them with a false lead, and then there was like
He
some
did. He
sort
left
of
some
like
miasma.
poison gas, miasma. Yeah. So like, I guess we haven't checked in with him after they're still dealing with that, I guess. But
And Shima's father is affected by the miasma, and that hasn't really been discussed amongst the characters, because if he has not had serious exposure, if he's being affected, then the potential for more outbreaks is pretty dire, I would say. Just something to think about. But I love this episode, and I love that we actually got to see more Kuro doing cute cat things. He's a good boy. He was comforting his friend, saying, "Everybody calm down. See, I'm giving you love pats. Everybody calm down." I've actually had a cat who used to do that when I would have, speaking of family arguments, when we'd have family arguments, one of the cats would come in. She would like gently nip at us and then meow at us, rub against us and flip over and just try to get she'd try and get the temperature down in the room, and it was very effective. She was like a natural therapy cat, and her name was Piper, and she was great. She was a tuxedo. So I saw Kuro doing it. I was like, yes, that's what kitties do. That's what kitties do. Any final thoughts anybody want to share before we do some house cleaning on this episode?
Rin lit the candles.
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
Intentionally this time.
I like how his Rin's like, wait, I'm not trying to light the candles, just that.
Yeah, the wick.
Like,
just the wick.
yeah, visualize that. Don't visualize lighting the candles. You don't want to melt the candle. You want the wick.
Yeah. Rin's training arc is actually kind of fun to see too, because I feel like for someone so young.
What about Shura's reaction to Renzo's dad being like stern with her? She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for creating." This is like, do you got a thing for him, Shura? You seem like a bashful schoolgirl right now.
That would be pretty cute. I mean, isn't he still married, or did they not show Shima's mom? I feel like they showed Shima's mom, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Right?
Yeah,
Wasn't she the owner of like the inn they're staying at?
Yeah. No, that's Suguro's mom.
Yeah, that's Suguro's mom.
Okay.
So I don't think Shima's mom is around.
I'll have to go back and look at my notes. Yeah, because only his father was the one who complained about his hair dye. He hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
So maybe she does have a chance.
Got a little crush there, huh, Shura?
Yeah.
Really embarrassed yourself in front of him.
Yeah,
I'm sure everybody will be very accepting of Rin in no time.
Yeah, well,
We'll get there.
I think it's going to be even worse now that they realize that the master knew exactly what he was too. But I feel like, I mean, if the master wasn't alarmed and he led him onto the, like, come on. I mean, there's stupidity, and then there's, obviously this guy has been in charge for a while and has been able to carry them through other crises. So if he's let this kid on and didn't feel it was worth being alarmed about, then I feel like that should mean something to the rest of the sect. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a rational human that doesn't react emotionally to things, like a couple of these teenagers. We'll see. See what happens.
We will see what happens. Yeah, very good episode. Solid episodes this week, where communication was key and it failed miserably.
Yeah, a common theme between Bleach and Blue Exorcist. Maybe a bit of Lazarus too, honestly. With Lazarus between Leyland and his sister. So
communication, messy family drama, and a lot of plot movement. I'd say.
Yes. And next week, Toonami gets even more stacked as Dragon Ball Daima offsets everything by 15 minutes for a week.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
forget to
Extra
check your
long
DVRs, kids, because
episode.
Bleach is not available on demand.
Yeah.
So,
I guess
better make sure
that's-
it's recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
JP, what do you think of Daima joining
Uh,
Toonami?
Man, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think this quickly. Uh, yeah, I'm excited about it. I have really nothing much left to say, but yeah, it's like, whoa, it's like Toonami's finally picking up steam now. And hopefully this is a sign for the coming months. And yeah, I call it the summer of Toonami. So yeah, I'm happy where this block is going, and I can't wait to see Dragon Ball Daima. I think I've only saw the first 2 episodes, so I would probably just catch
Oh,
up watching Toonami, watching on the Toonami block.
nice. Yeah. It's a fun show. It will
Yeah,
be a lot of levity between Lazarus and Bleach.
yeah,
It's going to feel a little out of place, honestly.
yeah.
But that's okay. It's a good show. It's a gorgeous show. Fantastic fight animation. Lum, what do you think? Dragon Ball Daima.
I'm glad it's coming to Toonami. Very unexpectedly, it was 10 days before airing. It was announced, so it's like, wow, this is last minute. I don't know why you didn't
Very
just wait
last
until
minute.
Lazarus ended and then it could take the top of the block. But
That's a good question.
it's good for the block. It's great to have it air, and I haven't seen the dub past the first 3 episodes, which were shown in theaters, so I'll definitely be watching along because I enjoy Daima, flaws and all.
Fair. Steven, you have any thoughts?
No. I'll be live tweeting it. So, that'll be my first interaction. Well, my second interaction. The first interaction is me looking at all the screenshots that I could get for the show and seeing how the flow goes, and then I kind of figure out where I can place the tweets and posts and snarky comments that I make on the live tweeting side of it. But it's going to be interesting. I assume. I don't know why they turned into little kids other than another guy named after a food gets mad at them and turns them into little kids. Like, that's going to help anything. It didn't do it the first time with GT, but it's going to do it the second time,
Well,
It's like,
chronologically, this takes place before GT.
Oh, so it's the first time they're doing it, and then the second guy didn't figure it out that time. Okay.
Well, the
Yeah,
second
whether
guy's
these
in
are
for a
in
peel off,
continuity with each
so-
other is in
Yeah.
question. But like timeline wise, GT is like at the end of Dragon Ball Z, like at the end of the time skip at the end of the Dragon Ball Z, whereas like the Daima is like a couple months after they defeat Boo. So difference of like
It's a
5
mid-quote.
years.
So
10
where
years.
does Super fit in then?
After.
Super
Yeah,
is like
and before
5
GT.
years after they defeat Boo. And it's like some nebulous period between like 5 years after they beat Pooh and then the end of Dragon Ball Z, the time skip part of Dragon Ball Z, which they kind of have like really screwed around with like the timeline in terms of like how have characters aged. Vegeta made a comment to Goku. It's like, oh, we haven't seen you in like Vegeta. I think it was Bulma actually. She said like, we haven't seen you in like 5-ish years or whatever, which like that doesn't really make sense with the super continuity. So it kind of rewrote that, I guess, retcon that. So but yeah, that's sort of
It's-
how the thing.
It's just
lines
easier
out.
to think that GT is just it didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes better sense then.
Yeah, and it's like Daima. Is Daima in continuity with Super? Because there are things that are in Daima that are like incongruous with Super, but then there are some elements that are, related to lore or things that, have been established in the franchise in Super. So it's like, are these connected? Did they really put that much thought into like how the timeline and chronology links up? I don't really think so. You just should enjoy the show as its own thing and not worry about how it fits in, because that's not really the concern, I don't think.
Yep. It's just a good time.
Yo, Sketch. On our live chat that we are streaming Toonami Faithful podcast at Toonami Faithful Official on twitch.tv. Jeff asks, will we be recapping Dragon Ball Daima? And if so, we will have 4 shows to recap weekly.
Ooh, boy. Well, for at least 3 weeks, that would be the case. I have kicked around the idea of not really talking about Daima weekly until after Lazarus ends, but in all likelihood, Lazarus probably gets replaced by something else that'll be worth talking about. So
yeah, the answer is we're still figuring out how we're gonna handle it, but you'll know when we know.
I mean, if Kuro wants to take over Lazarus every week, and then I'll do Daima and Bleach. I
honestly don't know what the appetite would be for hearing a weekly recap of Daima, because I feel like, I don't know, I think maybe we could go back to the older model, doing 2 or 3 episodes at a time, maybe, but maybe I want to know what's going to replace Lazarus, to be honest, but I guess we'll have to figure
it
out.
could be something
as
new.
much happens per episode in Daima as with the other 3 shows.
That is true. Daima.
Yeah.
Pretty leisurely.
It's pretty. It goes at a leisurely pace. It's not very involved any given episode, really. So yeah, I think it might be better to not do
every other week.
Every other week, maybe 3. There's 20 episodes. I don't want to do it 4 weeks. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But I mean, like, those first 3 episodes were released in theater. I would even say, well, the 3rd episode's not the best place to stop. So that was a choice. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. We're still figuring it out. We're still figuring.
One thing I will say, just because it popped in my head, one thing I liked about the Toonami promo for it was that they called back to a line from the original like Dragon Ball promo. Toonami did.
I like that.
Your favorite hero is only smaller. I thought that was cute. I'm glad they made that callback.
But the short version of that promo had like no sauce.
Yeah, long version was great, but short version,
that was like the least hyped Dragon Ball promo I think they've ever done.
And they aired that
but the 1 minute one was very good. Classic Toonami. That was only on Facebook, I think. Probably had a runtime constraint situation, because I mean, Lazarus is not a short episode show.
Especially since they play the full opening every week.
Yeah, and they trimmed the ending. Honestly, I wish they would shorten the opening and run the full ending. That would be
I mean, the ending is like a full song, and then the opening is like instrumental, so it feels like you can cut one down more easily than the other.
Yeah. Also, the ending just feels way more important.
Yeah. There's more going on in the ending.
It's not like a change, but you know, it's poignant. It's good they at least played the full thing once, but yeah, I don't know. It's just really, when an episode ends, it's just like no. Whoa, what the? And then you get the English credits, and then you get the promo. And you're like, oh, well, that is like 3 tone shifts in a row. That would just be. Anyway, Toonami's got a lot going on, both currently and in the future, and we're happy for it. And speaking of what Toonami has going on in the future and currently, you see, after, I do believe, 5 years, we finally, once again, wrangled Jason DeMarco, and Kuro and I had a wonderful conversation with him earlier today. We'll be releasing the audio version sometime next week. Maybe put up the video version of Patreon. Maybe that'll eventually go to YouTube, but I'm not a video editor. So if we want to like spruce up the video version, we gotta do something about that. But the audio version, I got you. We'll get that out. But it's great.
Really, it was great. He talked a lot. I don't want to give too much away, but it was really just about Jason talking about his current role and what his job entails. And I think it'll be really great for listeners to understand and not misunderstand what his relationship with Toonami is now, and also have a better sense of a little bit of how things have worked with production on some of the more recent series like Lazarus, specifically about Lazarus, but also we talked a little bit about Ninja Kamui. So it was really great. Honestly, I thought it was very interesting. I think that listeners will find it a very interesting interview as well. I hope so.
Yeah, I think the really enjoy what he has to say. I mean, they won't enjoy everything that he has to say. I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows trying to develop anime. But
Yeah.
perhaps you will better understand what he's doing, where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because, blurbs from various reporters talking about his productions are not necessarily favorable impressions, which is unfortunate because he's just a guy out there trying to make cool stuff.
Yeah, I
working
agree.
with other people that are trying to make cool stuff. They don't want you to hold them on a pedestal. They just want to be people making cool stuff.
Yeah, and he also gave, he mentioned how much he appreciated the fans and the Toonami community in general, and it was really heartwarming to hear that. But of course, if you want to hear more, you're gonna have to listen to the episode. So
yes,
stay tuned.
And it will be out next week. I promise you that. Just want to pace things out a little bit here. We're recording this on Thursday, which is already pretty late in the week. Hoping to get it up on Saturday morning, as we generally have been, and then the interview will probably come to Patreon early for our lovely Patreoners. Thank you for supporting the podcast and the website through Patreon and other means. And we look for opportunities to give you a little something on top. So that's probably going to happen. But the audio version will definitely be up at the latest Wednesday. I think probably sooner than that, but I want to, pace things out. And my work schedule is just about to change, so yeah, I'm going to be working 7 days in a row next week. Which is just kind of the problem with my days off are different than they were before, so I just ugh. And I got a convention next weekend. I'm going to SummerCon, which is going to be super awesome.
Fun.
Oh, there's so many anime voice actors there. They got Disney princesses there. They got a bunch of TV show people from the 90s. And the thing that's super big to me, they got the co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman. Definitely got to meet him. And also various actors involved in the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie. And also all the animated series 1987 Ninja Turtles. Usually not that uncommon to get the Turtles. But you get the Turtles April and Krang / Casey Jones / so many other characters. I mean, Pat Fraley is so many characters in that show.
We'll have to get your after action report. This sounds really exciting.
Yeah. I'm super excited to meet some of these people. I've already met all the turtles, but meeting all those other folks is so cool. Yeah. I'm gonna spend a lot of money.
In there.
Oh, I'm gonna have to work overtime.
Those 7 days are gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But I will certainly look for opportunities to maybe get some get some interviews maybe on the back burner. We recently posted a tweet just kind of being like, hey, if you haven't been on the podcast before, we'd love to talk to you, and we have gotten a bite.
Excellent.
Hopefully we can coordinate those in the future. Paul has been really good about doing that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, more interviews in the future, including, of course, the one that we just talked about with Jason DeMarco, which is, it's been so long since we talked
5 years.
to him. It was just great catching up.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not another 5 years.
Yep. Yeah. You're like, hit me up in a couple more years. We gotta talk to Gil though. Like he's
nice.
Mr. Toonami now. From the shadows, of course, which is highly advisable. He also, and this is very important, he also mentioned everybody should get off social media. It's so good. It's so good to be off social media.
I can't condone that because that's how we communicate with people right now.
I know, right? I know.
That's my job. But what do you mean? Get off the internet.
Yeah, maybe.
He says it's surprisingly easy to stay informed without it.
I think it depends on how much time you spend on there. Like me, for example, I spend way too much time on Reddit. I'm probably addicted.
Oh no.
Absolutely should get off Reddit. 100%.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reddit. Oh man.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at things like, am I the asshole? And
I don't even want to tell you, but that's definitely one of them because I'd be embarrassed.
Let's
just say I have one reality TV weakness, and that's where I spend too much of my time.
Some of those subreddit stories are crazy.
Yeah, they are.
A lot of them are probably fake, but they're good entertainment.
Yes. But anyway, yeah, limit your social media time, except when it's the Toonami people and Toonami in general.
Of course.
You should totally be there for all
and
that
live
stuff.
tweet every Toonami every Saturday.
Yeah.
From midnight to 3:30.
And add us or tag us or respond to our stuff. We like that.
Yeah, send us some hashtag Toonami talkbacks. Do that kind of stuff. And of course, please email us at podcast@toonamifaithful.com if you have any commentary about the podcast, anything we're talking about on the podcast. We love to get your feedback and your additional thoughts on whatever's going on with Toonami. You can follow us on Facebook.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast and on Twitter @Toonami Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on just about everything, including Apple Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podbay, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Radio.com, Spotify, and the app. And you can also check out every episode of the podcast online at the place where they found the encrypted documents in Lazarus, SoundCloud.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast. And you can get the latest news by following @ToonamiFaithful.com on Blue Sky, and also @Toonami News on Twitter. And read the news, views, and reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com. Always be checking out Yumiko's wonderful weekly Lazarus recaps. Good stuff, always a good. Thank you so much, Yumiko, for that. Hopefully we can have you on to actually talk about the show on the podcast, but no, you are busy. But there's only 3 episodes left, so we gotta figure that out. Okay. Ooh, JP, you were the latest arriver, so Tell the folks
Yeah.
where they can find you.
They can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads, JPReckless2444.
And Lum, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me on social media and other places at LumRanmaYasha. You can find my podcasts and writing on MangaMavericks.com. We publish podcasts and interviews, reviews, all sorts of stuff on the website. Manga Mavericks is also getting into publishing manga ourselves. We've launched Manga Mavericks
Ooh.
Books, a new indie manga publisher. Our first titles will be out on July 16th. You can find out more information about our titles and place pre-orders on our website, store.mangamavericks.com. And you can follow us on social media at Manga Mavericks for more information and posts about pretty much everything we do on both our press and media efforts and in our publishing efforts. We'll also have a panel at Anime Expo on July 4th at 11:30 a.m. at room 511. So if you'll be at Anime Expo, definitely check us out there. And we may have some cool announcements to make at Anime Expo. So stay tuned for that. And if you like also you can listen to our podcasts, pretty much every podcast platform you could think of. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our YouTube, where we also post video content as well. And that's YouTube.com/Manga Mavericks. But if you like the art I make, the thumbnails I draw for our podcasts, animations and illustrations I do in general, you can find that on my Instagram at SidArtWorks.
Alrighty. Steven, tell the folks where they can find you.
Hey, you can find me on the internet somewhere. I go under MXAGOS. It's you'll find it. Just type in MXAGOS. If you want to follow me. If you don't, you don't have to. Not an obligation. Aside from that, you'll see me and our other social media superstar Brittany doing the live tweeting on Toonami this Saturday, Sunday at 12 a.m. EST. We'll be doing some funny stuff on there. We have nothing planned, and we just go with it. Aside from that, that's it.
All right. Kuro, tell the folks where they can find you.
I'm here doing the podcast. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Blue Sky at Happy Kuro Kitty. And I help do stuff with the website. So where can they find you, Sketch?
You can find me on Twitter at Sketch1984. Also on Blue Sky, search Sketch1984. Yeah. I just posted the Ninja Kamui news article on Toonami Faithful. I still do those sometimes, mostly when nobody else is around to do. Just kind of.
You just responded the quickest.
Yeah.
This time.
I know Paul would have loved to write it himself, but he wasn't available to do it. And I was. Oh gosh, my last day off for 7 days. I will survive and then enjoy SummerCon, which is local in Washington State SummerCon at the fairgrounds. Don't know if anybody from Washington is listening to this, but I'll be there. Probably all 3 days. Maybe not much of the first, though it kind of starts late. Yeah. Looking forward to it. So that's it for another Toonami Faithful podcast. We packed a whole lot into this. 3 show recaps, a whole bunch of news. We hope you are satiated until at least that interview comes out between this podcast and the next regular podcast. We're keeping your ear holes busy. Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
I don't know why you said that either. Oh, thank God for the edit button.
You think I'm editing that out? That's
okay. I think that's a podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thank you all for listening. whether you're listening to the finalized audio as the podcast or you tuned in to the live stream. We always appreciate your listenership. And until next time, just have a dang conversation about it already.
Yeah. I can't believe you said ear holes. What is wrong with you?
Good job, Sketch. It's gonna be fun.